Hi guys, and welcome to Somewhere in Time Watch Reviews, and with my very good friend Simon from Watch the Time. This is our Saturday time check, our monthly, and I need to turn that off. And welcome our very special guest from the Camden Watch Company, Annika. Everybody say hi, Annika. Nice to have you in. Thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
So, before we get going with our questions, if you'd, the floor is basically yours. So we'll do that now. We'll do that again at the end. So just let the guys in the chat know what Camden Watch Company is all about, where you are, where they can find you on social media, and all the rest of it.
Cool. Yeah. So the Camden Watch Company is a watch brand that is completely designed in the UK, and it's inspired by the borough of Camden and the kind of industrial Victorian heritage of the borough and of the UK in general. I run it with my husband, Jerome, and we've been running it together now for, I think it's 7 years now. To be honest, with the pandemic, I kind of, like many people, have kind of lost timings a bit, but I think it's been running for about 7 years now. Before running the Camden Watch Company, I lived in Switzerland for 10 years, where I studied to become a jeweler, and then I went on to do watch design. Jerome is Swiss, so I met him when I was over there, and then we both came back to London. We moved to London in 2010, launched our own design studio, and then from the design studio went on to launch the Camden Watch Company. So yeah, we've been doing that for the past 7 years and haven't looked back.
Excellent.
So excellent.
I must say that husband and wife partnership, that's quite something. I take my hat off to you, my virtual hat.
Absolutely. Well, it works well for us, for sure. But yeah, there are definitely moments when it's tricky. I think the hardest thing is that there really is that thing anyway when you run a small business, but particularly when you run it as a husband and wife, you're never not at work. So whenever, we're on holiday or in the evening or we're out at lunch, whatever we're doing, we're always, yes, we're husband and wife, but we're also co-founders of a company. So there's always like a to and fro of, oh, and have you thought this, have you thought of that? So I think that's one thing that we found not challenging, but just, it's an added dimension that there has to be moments where you actively switch off from work, because otherwise it never leaves you.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there sort of like a code word you use so that you just say to each other, listen, we're just going to leave it now, because it can be quite easy to just keep it going all the time, wouldn't it, and not sort of shut off from it all? Is there some sort of way that you sort of cope?
So I think it's going to sound really cheesy, but it's true that we're really lucky in that we love what we do. So actually talking about the company is a pleasure. Obviously, talking about a customer service issue or our tax reports or whatever, that's not fun. But talking about new design ideas or ways we can evolve, it's fun for us. So actually, no, there isn't really anything that we say to stop, let's not talk about this anymore, because it's such part of our life and it is integral to our conversation of just day to day. So actually, I think we're very lucky in that it is a fun business that we're very passionate about. So we actually enjoy talking about it even out of work time.
That sounds good. Like I say, I think it's nice where it's a passion, isn't it? It's almost like your baby, isn't it? You're sort of molding it into your own vision. So yeah, I can appreciate that. Look, being married myself, I think the only struggle is in terms of just separating it sometimes, just so you can have some quality time. Do you know what I mean? I think that would be the balance, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So we definitely try and actively have time away from our phones. But again, that makes it tricky because we need to be on, certainly when the stores are open, we need to be on so that we can help our staff, but generally that's during the work day. But then it's, Camden's open 7 days a week. So even on the weekends, we need to be on our phones to make sure that at least one of us can answer if there are any queries. But I think now that we've got kids as well, that's really forced us to kind of have some downtime, no phone, no talk of business, that kind of moments for ourselves where it is just us and the family. And yeah, we work on it. It is something that as soon as we slip back into talking about the company, one of us will be like, no, wait, remember. So it definitely still happens, but we're getting better.
I imagine it's hard at the time.
That's really cool. I mean, like I said, hats off to you guys, for because it must be so difficult to kind of separate the two. And there's going to be overflows, but definitely, well done. I'm just going to say hi to the guys in the chat. We've got a few people in there. I see Average Joe Omar from Timeless Sneakers and Watches. He said he was going to try. He is over Pacific time. He's the other side of the US. Yeah, I dare say it's pretty warm over there. We've got my wife in there and Abby as well, who is my daughter. They're the ones with the spanners, if you can see the chat. They're the bosses of the chat. We've got Paolo from Verona in Italy. Thank you very much for joining us. Yes, Omar, you did promise. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Right, so we've got a few people in there. So, Simon, do you want to fire away with your first question? We're not going to tell you which order they're coming in, but you've got a rough idea.
So we're just going to come hard and fast with it, hard and fast. But guys, I'm not going to be able to comment today because I'm on my phone. So thank you all for tuning in. And Omar, Average Joe, and everyone, True. I saw you commented, so it's nice to have you in. But yeah, I'm going to do mine in order just because I think it makes a little bit more sense in terms of as we move forward. But I wanted to ask, what was your inspiration for starting the Camden Watch Company?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one, actually. So Jerome and I were running our design studio, so AMS Design Studio, which was a watch and jewelry. I mean, I say was, we still have it, we still run it, but it's a side business more than anything else now. But we were running this business, designing watches and jewelry for other people. And, you know, the watch world is quite secretive, as I'm sure both of you know, especially being Swiss, it's that kind of very, NDAs, lots of secret, like nobody really talks about what happens openly. So as a design studio, an external design studio, it was really hard. People never wanted to say that we were the ones behind the watches. So they always claimed them as their own, which is fine. As a designer, we didn't mind that. But it made it very hard for us to approach new brands and say, look, this is what we've done, because actually we weren't allowed to show anybody. So we had to say, like, look, we've done some cool stuff, but we're not allowed to tell you about it. But you just have to trust us, and that doesn't really work as a pitch. So we kind of thought, well, what can we do? And we decided that what we were going to do is we were going to launch our own brand that was going to basically serve as a showcase for what we could do. So we thought, well, we can show everybody what we can do from the design point of view, right through to the photography, to the website, to the importing, to everything. And then we'll use this to go and show our clients, or prospective clients. So this is what we can do. And that's how the Camden Watch Company came around. So we thought, much like people tell authors, write about what you love, we thought, well, let's design about something we love. We lived in Camden, we loved it there. There was a huge, amazing history. We've always loved the Victorian era, and that's kind of when Camden really came into its own. So we thought, well, let's launch a brand about something we love. So we launched the Camden Watch Company as a showcase for the design studio. And then actually, as soon as we launched it, it had a reaction that was much stronger than we were expecting. People kind of really, it really spoke to people, and it's just gone from strength to strength, really. So now, from being a sub business to the design studio, it's now flipped completely the other way. And it's actually the Camden Watch Company is what we do on a daily basis. And the design studio still exists, but it kind of just ticks over in the background rather than anything else.
So with your designs, do you still design for other people, or are you strictly just Camden Watch Company?
No, so we do designs for other people, but we're in the really, really fortunate position that we get to pick exactly which projects we want to work on. So if people approach us with a business, and it's not even things that we think are necessarily commercially viable or not, it's just, do we think it's going to be fun? So we get to kind of approach a project really from this point of view, is this going to be something that is different to what we're doing already with the Camden Watch Company? Because if it's just the same, then I'd much rather put that effort into the Camden Watch Company. But if it's like a different kind of style, a different project, so sometimes it's not watches, sometimes it's coffee cups, sometimes it's t-shirts, sometimes it's jewelry, it could be anything really. But if it's something that we're like, oh, this could be fun, then we accept it. So it's definitely, obviously the capacity, it's I'm the designer, so I only have so many hours in a day. So obviously our capacity is a lot less than it was when it was our main business. But yeah, we still do it. It's just that we get to pick who we want to do it for.
So where you can be quite selective, does it help you draw inspiration for maybe future projects and stuff then? Does it sort of give you, so does it give you more ideas for maybe stuff you'd want to incorporate into your own brand sometimes if you sort of go working on a different project? Kind
of, in the sense that it's when you get a brief that's completely different to something that you would have chosen to work on yourself, it kind of forces you to think about things differently. So yeah, it can help certainly all of a sudden see something from a different point of view. But generally, the projects that we choose are so different from the Camden Watch Company that they don't really link in, and that's deliberate because you don't kind of want there to be much of an overlap. But for sure, anything that makes you that makes you step out of your comfort zone and kind of look at something, try and find a different approach, can help with any other project, you know, all of a sudden give you like a eureka moment.
Because you almost get that's part where you almost have fresh eyes on something, don't you? Where you can almost
exactly,
see it.
it's exactly that. Yeah. So it's like stepping out of the company and looking at it from an external point of view, I think. Yeah,
that sounds really cool. I could imagine that being quite. It must be quite nice having a bit of diversity as well. Doing
that's it. Because you know, I absolutely adore doing the designs that we do for the Camden Watch Company. But one of the things is that obviously we're very strict about the style and the look of it. It has a very kind of linear way that it looks, and that's deliberate because it all has to be part of the same company. So to be able to do something that's completely different to that world is also really good fun. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That sounds really cool.
I've just seen a comment from Average Joe. He's one of the guys over in the States. I don't know if you can see the comments, Annika. But he said he lives in Philadelphia, and he's got a Camden, which is 30 minutes from him. And that's what he's got. That's his picture. when he thinks of your brand, I can pretty much tell him that it's nothing like that.
Well, our Camden certainly, it has no parallel. There's nothing else. There's nothing else quite like the Camden that you find in London, for sure.
Yeah, I'd vouch for that.
Actually, I'm not trying to push you under the bus, Simon, but I'm surprised you haven't been there because it is close to you, isn't it?
To be honest with you, it's really just been because of COVID. When I when I was talking to them last year, or sort of summertime, wasn't it? I think it was sort of summer last year. I did really want to go down to the shop and just pop in and have a look. But with COVID being what it was, it sort of put a lot of things on the back burner. But that's definitely something I'm definitely going to be doing soon because it's not that far from me. It's just a training, and I can go and have a look around the shop. That'd be pretty cool. That's definitely something I thought to do prior to doing the video for the review. But it unfortunately didn't quite work out. But yeah, definitely I will be popping in.
Yeah, well, I've actually got not that much of an excuse either because I'm not that far away, am I?
Maybe we could both go. We're trying to sort it out. We both pop in.
Yeah, road trip.
Our diaries.
Yeah, we could do that. Actually, what we haven't done so far is a wristwatch check.
Do you mean to?
So, guest first. What have you got on, Annika? Oh, is that the tattoo one?
I'm trying to. Yeah, this is the Rebecca there. Can you see it? That's the
Rebecca.
Rebecca.
It's got a really cool dial. That.
Yeah, that's nice.
The camera.
Everything's back to front.
It's so difficult trying to do it. Yeah, everything's back to front.
So yeah, that's the Rebecca Vincent edition. How can I? Oh goodness, there.
There we go. If anybody in the chat wants to get a better look at this, then head over to the Camden Watch Company website, or even on their Instagram. There's some great pictures on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's all done by Jerome. He runs all the social media, so he's definitely our social media guy. He's very good at that.
Cool. So,
and how about you, Adrian? What are you wearing?
I am wearing also Camden Watch Company. This is the number 29 Type 2. This is the one that Average Joe said that he kind of really likes that. I think everybody's kind of fallen in love with the fact that you've got the Camden Watch Company logo is lubed.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's
I like that
really
when
cool.
I like that when I saw it. To be honest, I thought that was a nice touch.
It takes a really good picture.
Fantastic.
And I feel like this is the point where I should also be wearing a Camden watch, but I'm not. So, thanks, guys. So I've a friend of the channel, Matty S. He sent me over his Orient Mako 2. It's in for review. It's a limited edition one, so you can keep an eye out. That's going to be coming on the channel soon.
Oh, the burgundy! So I've seen some pictures of that on his feed. Yeah, that is such a pretty watch.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. The Komatsu. It's my first dealings with the Orient Komatsu because I've seen prior to starting my YouTube channel, I had an Orient Mako 2, and I kind of just thought the difference was sapphire crystal, but yeah, the difference is a little bit more than that actually. When you wear a Komatsu, it's definitely a little bit more than that. But anyway, I digress.
Cool. That'd be interesting. So there's at least two of us that are representing Camden Watch Company, anyways. Sorry, couldn't resist.
That's all right, mate. I'm used to it now. Where's that bus?
Oh dear. So anyway, I'll move on to the next question, and you've already kind of mentioned it, and that's about the design aspect of the watch. I mean, when you're designing watches for yourself, first of all, where do you start? Because I know that your designs are very much based around sort of the industrialization and whatnot of Camden. But do you start with that, or do you have a kind of I want to design this kind of watch? Where does it begin?
It really depends, actually. So there is no kind of one size fits all. So sometimes, let me try and think of an example. For example, the number 88. That's our like minimalist industrial style watch that's really inspired by gauges on a steam train. So that came about because I've always loved the kind of design and typography on steam trains. And obviously Camden, for people who know the history, was very important in the railway industry and the transport of goods. So that was really inspired by the idea that I wanted to do something that looked like a train gauge, but that was really modernized and that didn't, not gimmicky, not like you'd look at it and straight away you'd have that idea in your mind, but that just kind of had those echoes of that kind of feel. So that kind of came out of that idea. Then something like the Tom Sayers limited edition that we did, which is based on a bare knuckle boxer, that came from the idea of first we found the character, this amazing bare knuckle boxer, originally from Brighton, then moved up to Camden, undefeated. He was a fantastic character. That was based on, well, we wanted to do something around him. So what could we do around him that we could move out? Then, for example, on our automatic collection, we've got the crown is based on a section of bridge that spans Regent's Canal. And that was literally, Jerome and I were on a walk one day and we kind of looked up, the way that sometimes you forget to do in London, and saw this fantastic bridge and saw this really, really cool, just the ironwork is amazing, but there's particularly one of the circles on the ironwork that we loved. And we thought, well, we need to use that, how can we use that? So that was kind of came from an element originally. How could we put that into a watch? So each watch is completely different as to how we kind of go around the process. And I think it's just about kind of always being on, always thinking about it whenever you see something. Sometimes it'll be something completely different that I'll see and I think, oh, that the way that a feeling, sometimes a product will make me feel a certain way. And I think I want to create that feeling for people. I want to make something that makes people feel, either happy or sentimental or just intrigued or protected or whatever it is, so sometimes it's from that point of view that we approach it. So it really is completely different. There's no one way of kind of coming at a project, I think.
So do you find yourself taking random snaps of stuff?
Oh,
sorry,
constantly. Yeah.
Because that's a good way to remember, isn't it? That's a good way to remember exactly what you saw.
Yeah, totally. So our phones are completely full of stuff that sometimes even we look at them and thought, what did I take? Sometimes it's just a bit pointless, but yeah, we have lots of photos.
Right. So specifically, because I've got the 29 Type 2, where was the inspiration from that one drawn from?
Yeah, so we this was kind of a little bit of customer feedback. So we knew that people wanted this kind of style of the number 29, so the larger watch, but with Arabic numerals. And my family have a big Royal Air Force history. So I've always been really into kind of pilot watches and that kind of thing. So it came from the idea of kind of how we could integrate those two things together. Obviously, the UK in general has a very strong kind of military heritage, and the design of it is really quite specific and really interesting. I think there's lots of elements, particularly, for me, it was an RAF family. So in the RAF, all the kind of the maps and the folders and just the whole design of it was something that I found fascinating. So it was kind of my homage to my family history, so it's potentially the least Camden of Camden watches, but it works because, it's something that we really find close to our hearts, and really inspired by my granddad, who was a navigator on Vulcans. So yeah, that was kind of where that one came from.
That's a cool story.
So for you, it's got a huge sentimental value then, given
it really does. Yeah, definitely, because it's really that kind of the one for my ancestors, and like I say, particularly for my granddad, who's featured on the website. So that's quite cool.
Yeah, actually, just while you mentioned the website, we'll talk about it again later on anyway. But anybody in the chat, go and have a look at the Camden Watch Company website. It's really informative. One of the things that I actually like about your website is that there's nothing there's nothing that's kind of ambiguous. Everything is laid out in front of you. You say where you know about the design, where you have them manufactured, and everything. So yeah, I that's one of the things which I would like to see a lot more watch companies do.
Yeah. So I think that came a lot from us being frustrated that a lot of micro brands, you know, this was knowing the industry anyway, but also from researching, you know, obviously when you launch your own brand, a lot of the micro brands, when you go on the About Us, they don't say where they're from, they don't say who they are, they don't talk about their background, they just say something, you know, very kind of normal, like, I couldn't find what I wanted in the market, so I decided to create my own. That's just rubbish. It just doesn't make sense. So we always knew from the get-go that it was really important for us that we wanted to be as transparent as we could. And I think that's the way that businesses are evolving anyway nowadays. But for us, that was really important, particularly coming from, you know, Drone being Swiss, me having lived in Switzerland, from that background of everything being very secretive and kind of really, really hard to kind of learn anything about the industry unless your feet on the ground, you know. So we really wanted to make sure that we were being as open and honest about everything as we could be.
Yeah, it's good. It's very, very refreshing. Going back on this number 29, because you do an automatic in this one as well, don't you?
Yes, we do, yeah.
What are you? I mean, are you planning on doing any more? Because I can't remember seeing any others that were automatic.
Yeah, so that's our only automatic that we have at the moment, and that was launched through Kickstarter initially. It went really well. We got how much? We went quite a bit over the budget that we were looking for, so that was really good. It was definitely there was a lot of demand for it. The issue with automatics is obviously the outlay is a lot more than it would be with a quartz watch. So we do have an idea for a second one that is in development. That is breaking news, top secret breaking news that I was giving you there.
Don't tell anybody.
Just for you guys, you got the scoop.
We'll come to that in a bit. We'll circle around and come back onto that. Is Simon frozen? Is he frozen? This is where the cat walks across the front of his screen.
I think. Yeah, he must have.
Yeah. Well, while we wait for, there he is. He's back. I was going to say while we wait for him to unfreeze.
Sorry, guys. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. My internet seems to be playing up.
You're back now. Anyway, so
yeah, I'm sorry.
Next question then, Simon. What have you got?
Yeah, no problem. Before I disappear again, it kind of goes piggybacks off what you were just saying, really, in terms of what cool projects do you have coming up, and can we have a sneak peek? A little bit cheeky, but I thought I'd ask.
Always worth asking, for sure. We're getting more and more into showing the process of what we do and kind of early stage designs of what we do over on our Instagram. So it's something that we are, you know, it's quite tricky, especially as a designer, to show something before it's finished, because you know, you want to kind of make sure that you've got the perfect project. Anything that's kind of a work in progress is always a bit tricky, because you kind of want to make sure you're showing the best version of it, which if it's in progress, obviously it's still being reworked. But we've got a few good ones coming up. We've got, so the Rebecca Vincent watch that I'm wearing, we actually have a second version coming out of that, which is going to be really exciting. So I'm looking forward to that, because this watch has gone really, really well. And then, we've got our automatic that is, it's very, very early days. So that's why we kind of haven't really spoken about it up until now, because it's literally in like the stage of the first sample. So for example, the automatic that we have at the moment, the number 29, that took us about a year from getting that first sample to getting it to market. Just because, you know, sometimes the first sample comes out exactly the way you expect it to, and you completely nail it and it's done. A lot of the time it comes out and you think, we could do more. So you just want to tweak it. You know, you keep trying to change it until it's the best it can be, because that's really what you want. You know, you want your product to be as good as it could possibly be for yourself and for your customer. So there's probably still going to be a bit of tweaking left, but we are definitely more open about kind of showing that whole process now. I think it's really interesting, and I think people love to see it. You know, they love to see how things are done. I love those kind of like how things are made shows that come up on TV. You know, it's always fascinating. So if we can kind of do our bit to show people the peek behind the curtain, as it were, So
Yeah,
that's what,
it's always interesting to see that kind of thing. Anyway, it's you know, whenever you see, and to be honest with you, there's very few kind of brands or micro brands that do that. I mean, you're obviously kind of in that micro brand sort of pigeonhole. I mean, as far as kind of expanding your territory goes, what kind of plans do you have for that?
I think we're just taking it day by day, really, at the moment. You know, given the past 2 years that we've had, a lot of the plans that we did have kind of got put on the back burner. So there were lots of ideas of maybe doing more pop-ups, which we still are really keen on doing, but obviously now is not the time.
No.
Potentially more stores, lots of different ideas. But for now, because of the way that things have gone, we're just kind of taking a minute, you know, kind of having a little bit of a break just from expanding, just to kind of build on what we've got and just kind of take things a little bit slower. So I think, and you know, we're really happy with how the brand is as well. I think we definitely live in a society and in a world where bigger is better, and everybody wants to be bigger and bigger and grow and grow and grow. But actually, you know, we are really happy with the company at the size that it is, and we really love the team that we've got. And it's not necessarily about being bigger. If we can keep doing what we're doing, we're really happy, you know, we're golden.
I think sometimes quick growth can work against you as well.
Totally.
It can become overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing, is we would never want to compromise on the service that we can give, or, you know, even now, there are times when, you know, it's just Jerome and I on the decks, as it were, and we kind of get a bit overwhelmed because all of a sudden something's more popular than we were expecting, or something kind of takes off on Instagram and we find ourselves a bit inundated. So it, you know, and that's only on a small scale. So for sure, if all of a sudden, you know, going from 0 to 100 is too much, you want to do it slowly and build up. And that's how you create, you know, a brand that has longevity, I think.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the kind of the social media aspect, I mean, you're as a brand, I think that you're pretty good at it. So yeah, and you say that's the part that Jerome looks after. I mean, presumably does he allow you to, if you like, to get involved in that?
Occasionally, I get to write the captions sometimes if I'm lucky.
Okay.
He's very, very good at it. So I think one of the things, and the reason why our partnership works as well, is because we challenge each other, but we also recognize each other's skills. And you know, I love doing all the design stuff. The photography, as much as I enjoy it, Jerome is miles better than I am at taking these great photos. He's really got an eye for it, and understanding the light and the way it hits a watch and the way that can change the perception, and making sure that they look as true to life as possible. He's very, very good at it. So I definitely kind of happily bow down to him and leave him to do that. When I get on Instagram, it's more to kind of just have a chat with people, you know, kind of ask questions, do polls, that kind of thing. So if you ever see that, generally it's me. If you ever see really great photos, generally it's Jerome.
To be honest, it sounds like you dovetail very nicely anyway. It sounds like you complement each other very well in terms of your skill sets, which is important.
Yeah. I think that's why it works. You know, I think it's you know, like you say, we're quite complementary in at the skills that we do, but also because we've got that husband-wife relationship, we're not worried about challenging each other. And you know, if I'm working on something and Jerome thinks it's rubbish, he's not going to kind of tiptoe around me. He's going to say, Annika, that's rubbish.
Annika, I'm married, as is Adrian, and we know that's the case. We know that our wives are not going to be worried to tell us that. So isn't that true?
Yeah. So it makes a big difference from like just being co-founders, where maybe that relationship is a little bit more separate. You know, for us, it really is. We can be as completely honest with each other as we can, and there haven't been too many fights yet.
To be honest with you, honesty is probably the biggest thing. You know, honesty and openness. As long as you can maintain that, then you know, pretty much the sky's the limit as far as that goes. You know, it should work really well. Well, we've got Stephen. We're saying that you've got some interesting designs. Is there a significance to the blue second hand?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually the same color as a very famous bridge in Camden, which is the Camden Lock Bridge. If you type in a photo of Camden Town, chances are it's gonna be one of the photos that comes up. It's like it's a bridge that's been graffitied. It's the Camden Lock Bridge. It's a really, really nice bridge, and it's that blue that we've always loved. And yeah, we used that as one of the details that we used. We kind of picked out from Camden and put that into our watches. So it's what I really love about that is it's subtle enough that it can just be a nice blue hand, but also it has that second meaning. So it's not like all of a sudden the meaning. If it were like a really awful color, then obviously we wouldn't have done it. But it's a beautiful kind of really nice blue that really fits with our watches. So yeah, that one absolutely, that's a perfect example actually of the kind of details that we pull in from Camden and how we integrate them into the watches.
Nice. I must say, I applaud your perspective on in terms of when you was talking about the growth of your company, because I do think it's very important. It's like a house, isn't it? You've got to have good foundations, and I think sometimes people they want to sort of become an overnight success, but they don't really think about what that's going to entail and what that's going to look like once they get there, because they've not put the building blocks in place. So I think it's very, very sensible. And like I said, in terms of I'm not very good at social media. I'll be the first to admit I'm not great in terms of Instagram, and it's not really something that I'm most comfortable with. But in terms of your social media, in terms of your pictures, you, like Adrian said earlier, you do take some stunning pictures. Some of the pictures I was like, that looks really cool. So yeah.
Well, I'll make sure I pass compliments on to Jerome.
It's actually quite funny sometimes, because Simon says that he's not very good with social media, but he has a YouTube channel that's doing pretty well.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like in terms of my YouTube channel though, I don't mind talking. I'm quite happy talking. But in terms of social media, in terms of hashtagging things and all that stuff, it's not really something I'm that interested in. I kind of just more prefer to look at a watch, spend some time with it, give my thoughts on it. So that's why YouTube is fine. But in terms of sort of like Instagram and all and TikTok and stuff, it doesn't really appeal to me as much, because it's slightly different, but they sort of dovetail nicely, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I've actually used the kind of the YouTube experience to try and improve my photography. Because when I first started using Instagram, I mean, it was literally just kind of point and shoot, and I never cleaned up any pictures or anything like that. But as soon as I started kind of editing them, not to the point where they look sort of false, but kind of making it look as good as you possibly can, that makes a big difference. And it's I don't always get it right, but I think generally speaking, some of my pictures are, they're improving all the time, and I think same with the video aspect as well, because for me, I mean, I don't know if you if you watch the review that I did on the number 29. At the beginning, the B-roll at the beginning of the close-ups and the video, that's the bit that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's good fun, isn't it? I think when you really find the passion in kind of showing, and we're improving all the time. And if you scroll through our Instagram feed, even from 2 years ago, but especially from when we started, it's that the aesthetic is already completely different, because we've learned so much along the way of kind of what works for us and what doesn't, for sure.
Yeah.
Have you put any emphasis on maybe your YouTube? In terms of, because
we are starting to work more on that. We work with a videographer. One of the guys that works in our stores, actually, he is an amazing videographer, and we are getting into it more and more, because we know it's important. We know the videos are important. It's not, it's funny that you said that you're comfortable kind of chatting about something. That's not either Jerome or my wheelhouse. Neither of us are the kind of people that sit in front of the camera very often. So I think it's Instagram works better for us in that we're really showcasing the watches, but YouTube is something that we're growing it for sure at the moment.
Yeah, cool.
YouTube is actually it's something that you have to do. Going back to what I was told initially, and you have to be consistent with YouTube, which I would have thought is going to be kind of a bit difficult for a company to do. The consistency thing, because you've got things that are, if you like, far more important than that. That then turns into another thing that you've got to find time to do.
It's exactly that. It's that we don't ever want to kind of half-ass things. You want to make sure that if you're doing it properly. So it's always making sure that we don't want to kind of launch ourselves into something just to find that actually we don't have the time to keep up with it. So we're doing it bit by bit, slowly growing it and learning all the way, but without kind of making too much of a fanfare of it, because we're still in that point at the moment where we're kind of learning and discovering what works for us and what doesn't. So exactly. If you don't have the time to dedicate to it, it's best probably just to stay off a little bit for now.
Yeah, I was going to say, leave it to the watch reviewers. Let them do the work for you. Hello, we've got Chris Murley has made it in from Canada.
Nice.
And Omar just said it's a never-ending journey. It absolutely is. And I think everything to do with watches, you know, if you're bitten by the bug, it is a never-ending journey. So, I mean, as far as designs go, I mean, other than the Pilot's watch, you've got a lot of kind of minimalist watches. I do like some of the designs that you've got where you've got a small second hand, especially on a quartz watch. I'd quite like that rather than the big central sort of ticking second hand. But I mean, have you got any kind of plans for anything like a chronograph or anything, not necessarily sports watch, but more of a kind of what David Schwartz would call a go anywhere, do anything sort of watch?
So interestingly enough, on one of those polls that I do on Instagram, you know, kind of when I was kind of talking to the customers and seeing what they would like, chronograph came out quite high as something that people would like to see us do. So I think there's definitely customer demand for it. I'm not quite there yet, just in terms of finding that idea, finding that thing that really makes it work for us, because like you say, chronographs do tend to veer on the sporty, and I don't think sporty works with Camden Watch Company. So it's finding that middle ground where we've got that complication, but it works the way we want it to, and it makes sense in the Camden Watch Company universe. So I think it's something that we're going to do at some stage, I imagine. You know, I'm not making any promises, but for sure, it's, you know, we don't have it in the collection, so you could say it's lacking in the collection at the moment. But also, as a small company, it's always about opportunity cost. You know, it's not just the cost that it takes to do something, but anytime you are producing one product, it's that you're not producing another. So, you know, for now, we're putting the emphasis on the second automatic. We think that's very important for us. It's something that a lot of people want, and that really works with the company. It means that we can't do a chronograph because, you know, we can't do everything at once. So the chronograph, I think, will happen, but I don't know when. It will happen sometime later down the road, I think. But yeah, it's just finding the time to develop it, finding that golden nugget of an idea, and then finding, you know, the financing to make sure that happens as well. Because, like I say, any time that you're producing, if you put that kind of money behind producing a particular watch, then you're not doing other watches.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, the other thing as well, I suppose, is, because you've got, you know, like sourcing movements as well. I mean, I would assume that Japanese is probably the way to go. But with with the automatics, because there's been kind of a lot of kind of attention has been put on the fact that the Seiko NH35 is becoming harder to get hold of. I mean, some have been turning to, which one is it? The one that 8215, is it, Simon? The Miyota?
Yeah, that's the Miyota 8000 series of movements. There's a plethora, but also you can in Japan or Malaysia and stuff, they use the YN55 instead, which is basically the same as an NH movement. So there's alternatives anyway. There's lots and lots of various sort of movements. But like Adrian said, it really depends on the route you want to go down, because there's, as you'll probably know, in terms of movements, there's such an array of movements that you can use anyway. It's sort of like a minefield by itself.
Yeah, completely. Because, you know, like the movement that we started off using in our automatics originally by Miyota was discontinued, so then we had to change over to the Seiko. For this new one, I think we're going to go higher end, so we're going to go for a fine finishing, but then it means the lead time is massive because obviously there's been the pandemic, but even when they had the tsunami over in Japan, and that affected the whole Miyota factory. So even everything, you know, when you're working on a global scale, it's amazing everything that can have an impact on kind of how you can produce. You can be sat there ready with the money, with the project, ready to press launch, and still not be able to do it. So yeah, for sure, especially with a watch, you know, that obviously has a lot of elements and a lot of working parts that need to be ready at the same time together. It does make it tricky. So yeah, that's also what made us a bit reticent initially to kind of start sharing things too early on the journey, because we thought, well, by the time if we're showing things at a kind of design stage, it's going to be maybe even a year and a bit before we're actually ready to launch the project. Are people even going to remember? But as time has gone on, we've realized that actually people really do enjoy seeing the process, even if it's 3, 4, 5, 6 months in advance of actually getting the project. So
I think the thing is, with people just like to feel like they've got an inside scoop, don't they? They just like to feel like they've got a little bit of something that no one else has. I think they feel like they've seen something. Oh, we've seen that. That looks really cool. And then they start telling people, don't they?
Yeah, totally. So I think, we're definitely more in the idea of show. And the thing is, like I was talking earlier about transparency, it's also, that's part of it as well. You know, it's showing people what we do, and it's making the most of the fact that we are watch designers. You know, we're not bankers who decided to launch a watch brand, you know, which happens very often in these micro brands. We are watch designers. We come from the watch trade. It's what we do. So why not show people that, you know, and have people come on that journey with us and really be able to see the whole process from the beginning to the end.
So what Stephen just... Sorry, I was just reading the comment from Stephen. He likes the number 29 Type 2, which is this one. Can't do Roman numerals. Also the small seconds hand. Have you thought about... that's a good question, actually. Have you thought about a sweeping quartz movement? One of the Seikos, the VH series, I believe they are. In fact, we've just reviewed a watch which has got the VH31 in it.
Yeah, the Mecha Quartz.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for sure, these are the kind of things that we kind of talk about on a daily basis, you know, of how we should do things, if we should change, if we should keep it as it is. For the time being, we're really happy with the movements that we use because they're very reliable. So it kind of makes you a bit reticent to move as well. If you know that they work the way they should, they are very reliable. Miyotra have always been really great from that point of view. Their finishings are a good standard. We know that they're very easy to repair. So there are lots of things that we like about the movements that we use, but we're always thinking about how we can improve things and how we can change things. So for sure, like that kind of idea is always something that we're visiting and looking at and thinking, okay, for the next batch, maybe we could do this. For this batch, maybe we could do that. So yeah, it's always something that's on the drawing board, as it were.
I think what's important as well is if it's not broken, don't fix it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, certainly.
You don't want to steer too far away from the path that's been working, do you? So
yeah, exactly. But also, we don't want to sit on our laurels. So it's kind of always finding that that balance between making sure that you're still evolving and that you're still kind of working, pushing yourself forward. You know, and you're not sat on the same project for years. But also, that, if, like you say, if it's working as it is, you also don't want to kind of step out of the norm too much and potentially make it work less well if it's working as it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll definitely go with that. I feel like you've got to stick with.
Can you see the chat, Simon?
Not really, mate. That's why I was saying before.
That's interesting. I don't know if you can see it, Annika. Danielle has just said Simon's got his eyes on a ladies one. He just doesn't know it yet.
That'll be my wife.
And I see Chris Murley over in Canada. He's got his eye on a number 29 as well. Was that the white dial? Was it, Chris? Was it the white dial? You said it was. I'm trying to have a look now.
Yes, black and white dial.
Yeah.
Glad you like it.
Yeah, I think I've been. I was quite surprised at the kind of level of interest. I don't mean that to be rude, but that this particular watch kind of created, if you like, when I started posting it on Instagram, and it's done reasonably well on YouTube as well, because historically, I suppose, microbrand videos don't normally do as well as, say, Seiko or some of these kind of steel dive Chinese watches and stuff like that. But no, it's actually done quite well. So looks like you've got a winner there. You get a thumbs up.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to start paying my granddad royalties if you keep talking about this watch.
Does he know? So anyway, is there anyone in the chat got any further questions? Anything you want to ask Annika? We've got a watch brand owner in the chat, so or on the video. So any questions, then just let us know. But while they're thinking about that, hello, Abby has a question. what would you recommend for a girl who's turning 17 this year? You would like her dad to buy her for her birthday. That's my daughter.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, I definitely think the Rebecca Vincent all the way.
Okay, yeah.
So there you go.
Okay.
There you
so I guess you're going to put me down for one of those then.
Absolutely. The only watch so far of all the watches that we've had that sold out before we even had the watch. So
Really?
we put it out for pre-orders, and before even having it in stock, it had already gone. So yeah, it was very popular. Next batch
Nice.
is coming out in early April. So I don't know when her
Has that been your best-selling watch then? Has that been your best-selling watch?
Fastest selling for sure. It's hard to say best-selling because we didn't produce a huge amount of them. So the Memento Mori is our best-selling watch. It works really, really well. And I think people connect to two things. Number one, the aesthetics. You know, it's a cool-looking watch. It's a Gothic watch that has a skull on it. It's just quite a cool vibe. But also the story. So the story of the Memento Mori is based, obviously it's Latin, but it became very popular in Victorian times. And the Memento Mori means, remember, you must die. And it's not, I mean, you know, you guys might have seen this. It's not a new theme for watches. It's existed in watches for a while. But the idea is that you remember that one day you're going to die. So you live life to the fullest every day. You know, it's a kind of carpe diem kind of style watch. And that works really, really well. So that's our bestseller. But the Rebecca Vincent watch did do very, very well just in terms of how fast it went. The interest was huge. I mean, she has a very large following. And she's got a really cool style. So this my tattoo actually, I can't find the screen again. My tattoo is a Rebecca Vincent. I can't. There.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
That's all right.
It's all back to front when you're doing it on the camera.
Yeah, it's really hard. So there. Well, there you go. The preview there. You see it. If you want to see.
Cool. I think I've seen pictures of your arm on Instagram.
Very possibly. We don't have a massive model budget, so it does tend to be either drone. But luckily we've got. So yeah,
with the Rebecca Vincent, you say you've got a second one of hers coming out, another one. What? I mean, is there any kind of hints that you can give us? I know you talked about it.
So the dial is the opposite to this one. So this one is white mother of pearl with a black print, and the other one is the opposite way around. So it's going to be a black mother of pearl dial with a white print. So just to have that contrast between the two, it's a different flower as well. So this collection is based on the Victorian language of flowers, which is where all flowers had a meaning. Obviously, this one's roses, which means love, and it's the next one is a different flower that's also really, really cool. So yeah, we're really excited to launch it. I imagine we're going to be launching pre-orders or certainly showing it pretty soon over on our social feeds and our mailing list.
Cool.
Yeah, Christian, I think I just saw. So I think I just saw a thing flash up saying someone's joined your mailing list. So I mean,
fantastic. Yeah,
that's Chris Murley. Yeah, go in Canada.
Oh, it's Chris.
Yeah,
he's a guy. He's another watch reviewer.
Fantastic. Canada. Yeah, so that's always the place where we show things first, is on the mailing list. And we ask questions, we give recommendations as well of kind of other brands that we found that we think are cool, and like different things that we kind of found on our travels that we enjoy, that we think our customers are going to enjoy as well. So yeah, it's a good little mailing list.
So there were no questions, guys and girls. It seems like everyone's very shy this evening.
They are. Well, it's just my daughter trying to find out what her next watch is. Actually, she needs another watch because she's just bought herself an Apple Watch.
Oh no!
I know. I just made that public. she's got some nice watches as well. Oh no!
Well, that was actually a really interesting kind of historically a point in our company. You know, when Apple all of a sudden, because we'd been, you know, I can't remember when exactly they launched, but we'd had the company for a year or so, and suddenly, you know, Apple are doing a watch. Oh my goodness! Everybody was coming in saying, "So, how are you feeling? Are you worried? Is it going to be like the crash of the watch market?" And it never really worried us because it's just a completely different product. It's not the same as a mechanical watch or a quartz watch. It's just something else that serves a completely different purpose. So it never really worried us. People don't wear watches purely because they want to tell the time. You know, they're a statement. They're a fashion statement. They're a way of, especially for men who don't really wear much jewelry. You know, a watch really has an important part. It's an important part of your outfit. So I don't think Apple Watches ever really worried us because a lot of people do, just like your daughter, have one plus their watches. You know, it's not people, or if they do have an Apple Watch, it's that's their only watch. They generally didn't wear watches beforehand anyway. So yeah, it was an interesting moment, but it never really worried us, luckily.
That's a very good point, actually.
Yeah, I don't see many people that are sort of watch people that gravitate towards Apple Watches anyway. And if they did, they'd wear it in addition. My wife wears 2 watches, so she'll wear her normal watch plus the Apple Watch, but she uses it more for her steps and stuff like that. So that's more what it's used for.
Yeah, so it's more as a fitness tracker, that kind of idea. Yeah, I mean, that's always how we've seen it. And from that point of view, it's a great product, but it's not the same as a watch, you know, as a traditional watch.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think you could compare the two. And I know which one I prefer.
Same. Apple Watch, right? No, I'm kidding.
So we've got a question from Chris Murley, which is, what watch have you guys produced that you're most excited about or proud of?
Oh, crikey, that's a good one.
That's like trying to pick your favourite child, isn't it?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Trying to pick my favourite kid. It's an impossible question because obviously we wouldn't launch a watch that we weren't proud of. So every watch is a watch that we're proud of. I know that sounds really cheesy, but hopefully, you know, you understand the sentiment, as in, you know, we would only launch it if we really liked it genuinely ourselves. And that's also coming from this point of view that our brand isn't purely designed for commerciality. It's designed because we are passionate about what we do and we design products that we love. So we're proud of every watch that we produce. But I do think that personally, I just love the story of the Memento Mori so much. But I think that's probably the one that if there were one watch that I had to choose, it would be, or one collection that I'd have to choose, it would be the Memento Mori, just because I've always been fascinated by that story. I love kind of anything that can, the way that you can imbue sentiment and feeling and more than just, you know, steel into a watch. I think it's fantastic, you know, and I really love that idea. And the stories that we've heard about the watch as well from people who have bought it, you know, either people who have come out of cancer remission or people who have had someone pass away or people who have gone through depression. I mean, it's just amazing the kind of feedback that we've had on that watch that shows that it really has, you know, been a part of people's lives. It's just, that's amazing. I love it.
It transcends what it is, doesn't it? I think that's what happens. It sort of transcends what the actual item is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, we've got my wife. She's now looking at her 30th birthday. So, from Chris, what's your most popular men's watch and your most popular ladies' watch?
I think that's what you mentioned, isn't it?
Yeah, so the Memento Mori is definitely the most popular. It's a unisex watch, but it is on the larger side. So I say that's the most popular gents watch. But equally, you know, it is worn by a lot of ladies. If we're looking
what's
purely,
the sort of dimensions on that, Anika? Sorry to interrupt. What's the sort of dimensions on that watch?
Off the top of my head, it's 39 mil, but
that's not a bad size. Yeah, I can see why.
No, it's not, it's not massive. The biggest watch is the 29, and that's 43. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's either 39 or 4. It's around that kind of size. So it's not massive.
I think anything from 37 to 40 can quite often be unisex, can't it? Given the sort of weight. As long as the lug to lug isn't too big, it normally can work out quite nicely as a unisex watch.
Yeah, totally. So the strap was only 20, so it's quite a good kind of, it's a good one for most wrists, definitely. And then, you know, the Rebecca Vincent has just been massively popular. 41, they've just been corrected on the. Thank you.
Oh dear, I can't believe he did that.
No, good. I'm glad he did. Definitely.
I've seen another actually pretty good question from Danielle, which is if you were to wear a watch that wasn't one of your own, what would it be?
If budget were no question, I'd probably go to a brand like Van Cleef & Arpels or Jacques Hidro, because I just love the poetic kind of meanings behind their watches. You know, from a design point of view, I don't think they're necessarily the easiest to read in terms of watches, but I really love they're different and they've got a great design kind of style behind them. So I think that would be it. But yeah, that would have to only be in a context where budget was no question, because they are not cheap.
No. Yeah, you're not going to wear it as a beta watch, are you?
Absolutely not. No.
I definitely think it fit into the category of sort of like a Grail watch. Is that what you'd also call
Yes.
it?
Yeah, the Holy Grail. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Has anything
So
else come through?
before we kind of wrap this up, what's it? My wife says, oh, she likes the number 27, grey and rose gold. Well, there we go.
Good choice. Yeah, that one's very popular. Absolutely. I think it's a little bit different. That color combination is something that you don't really see massively in other brands. So I think, yeah, that one's a popular choice.
Yeah. Well, I dare say she's going to show it to me shortly. I should know it. I've looked at your website often enough. So when you because it's a husband and wife team, and obviously there's this kind of crossover that kind of just works. Well, what do you guys do for? And how do you wind down? Do you have something that you have to kind of deliberately do? Do you have your own separate interests outside of watches?
Yeah, so we're both keen on cycling. So we both like to cycle. Jerome has more time for it than I do at the moment, just through looking after the kids more than. So he tends to go out on nice cycle rides around the area. I like to jog as well, but also just anything artistic, really. So I love creating. I love doing things with my hands. So at the moment, I've got this subscription that's really cool, where every month you get kind of a new skill that you learn. So it's calligraphy one month, then it's screen printing the next month, and watercolors the next month. And that's been really, really great through the pandemic. So all that kind of thing. And then, classic Netflix. Just binging TV series as well tends to help us relax.
Cool. Anything else you want to ask, Simon? Anything else from the comments? Because we are at about an hour, which is kind of our usual roundabout cut off. So we can start winding this down. If there's no more comments or questions from the comments, I should say. Anything else you want to ask, Simon?
No, we've covered a lot of stuff. Thank you for your transparency and honesty, Anika. It's been very refreshing to have an open conversation.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, for kind of the last few minutes, I know you said it all at the beginning, but again at the end, let everybody know who Camden Watch Company is and how to find you and all your social media presences. The floor is yours.
Fantastic. Yeah, so definitely check out the website, which is camdenwatchcompany.com. But the best place to go to kind of follow what's happening, all the kind of the insider view and everything, is our Instagram, Camden Watch Co. And then the mailing list. Yeah, so we try and post as much stuff up there as we can, and we're trying to get more into showing as much as kind of behind the scenes stuff as we can over on the mailing list as well. That's usually a monthly mailing list, so it's nothing that will clutter up your inbox. It's just once a month, you get a little email that drops. We are on TikTok as well, but we don't know what we're doing on TikTok. Everybody else took it, so don't bother with that one. Facebook is the Watch Company, and yeah, just follow along the journey. It's really exciting. We're really excited about where this could go, and we've got some cool projects up our sleeve. So hopefully, that people will like them.
Excellent. I mean, the cool projects, you have mentioned one or two this evening, so. I mean, anybody that kind of watches this later as well, because you usually get quite a lot of views afterwards. But yeah, we've had a fair few sort of in and out of the chat. So yes, it's been great, and thank you so much for giving us your time. It's much appreciated.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. So Simon, yeah, any last words?
Yeah, so just a couple of things. So yeah, Nick, as I said, thank you for coming on. It's been lovely talking to you. I know it's giving up your evening when you've got two young kids is no mean feat. So thank you for coming on, having a chat, and hopefully we'll speak to you again very soon. And just a sort of side note, anyone who's interested in winning a watch, do head over to my channel because I'm reaching my 2,000 subscriber giveaway soon. So if you'd like to enter, please like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, thank you for tuning back in, guys. We'll see you again next month. And Anika, thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Any last words, Anika?
Go follow us on Instagram.
Right. So that just leaves me to say, thanks everybody in the chat, and thank you for the questions. And Chris Murley, he's still typing away there. But yeah, Annika, thank you so much for giving up your time. Yeah, as Simon said, you know, you got young children and a sick husband as well. So you know, you need to go and look after them now.
Absolutely. Well,
Again, thanks everybody so much for tuning in. And we will catch you all next month. And anybody who's not subscribed to Simon over at Watch Time, please go and do that. I'm pretty sure that everybody in the chat at the moment definitely is. But go and check out his giveaway for his 2,000 subs. But yes, that just leaves me to say thanks again. And we'll catch you all next month. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
See you later.